Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fathoms Deep, a Black Sails podcast from Common Room Radio. I'm Elizabeth Stevens.
I'm Daphne Olive, and we have Lauren Sarner in the house again, of course.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
You're so lovely, Lauren. We love having you.
I know, it's the best, and it would not be a season wrap, especially this season, without Lauren with us.
It's tradition.
It is. I love this tradition so much.
And I have to say, even though it is tradition, this is my fourth time on. This is my first time on after having both covered a season that aired live. And I just want to say, the two of you, it's been so fun to do it live, and you've done such a good job of creating this community with your live tweets and everything. Because last season, I was kind of the only one covering the show in an analytical way. And that was also extremely fun in a very different way. It was kind of both fun and nerve-wracking to be the loudest voice in this community.
Yeah.
And so to share that crown has been
Queens of Nassau all.
Exactly. It's been extremely fun to share that crown with you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been
honored.
So much fun having you in the live tweets. It's been, generally the cleverest person. Okay, other than Luke. We'll have to. He's not been in our live tweets, but
yes, sort of live tweet adjacent.
Well, right. He gets retweeted. He's not using our hashtag.
It's true. Yeah, but sometimes he responds to us, which is always really exciting.
Yes.
He saw my thing. He said something back. It's like we're buds. Yeah.
And then for me, it was also I had always been kind of fandom adjacent, and all of a sudden being in the Black Sails spotlight kind of thrust me to a fandom spotlight, which was both fun and kind of nerve-wracking.
And it can be brutal out there.
And I was also very new to Twitter, so I didn't really even know the concept of live tweets at the time, and was I was basically actually kind of used the Black Sails actors as my tutorials for how to use Twitter.
Oh. Excellent. Okay.
I most specifically Zach and Luke. They were the most active, and Toby a bit too. I noted at first I didn't really respond to people, and then I actually noticed that Zach was responding to a lot of people. So I was like, oh, I guess this is how you should be on Twitter, and that's why I started responding, and that's actually how I connected with Daphne, because I started responding.
Perfect.
Right. That's true. Right, during season 3.
It's because of them.
But yeah, that's true. I mean, that's how Lauren and I started chatting, because Lauren, you were it's funny. I think I found out about people I knew already on Twitter who were actually watching Black Sails, because I saw them in people who I was already friends with on Twitter, but I didn't know that they were watching Black Sails. Mm-hmm. I would see them interact with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's because I really, when I started watching Black Sails, my husband introduced me to it. I didn't know anyone who was watching it. I really thought, and I feel like I've heard this from a lot of our listeners, that I thought that that I was the only person watching it in a lot of ways. It took me a while before I started finding out that some of my existing friends, and so you were kind of for a long time, I would just read your articles, and I was like, oh, cool, this is great. I feel like in a lot of ways you validated my very intense love of it, because I was like, okay,
your experience of the show.
Right. If this smart person really loves this show as much as I do, then I'm not a total weirdo. Basically.
I was just thinking, I remember, Daphne, when you first sent Lauren's articles and her writing to me, and look at this woman, she's so smart, she's so young, she's so insightful, I love her, listen to everything she's saying about the show.
But then season 3 was very much me kind of floundering, oh my God, I'm suddenly getting all this attention, what do I do, what is Twitter? And you guys have very much validated creating a coherent community, whereas I did not really do that.
And that's all Daphne, I should say. Daphne completely runs the Fathoms Deep Twitter account. She does it beautifully and really is the one that fosters the communication so well. I am occasionally liking and retweeting, and that's all. So go, Daphne, Team Fathoms Deep.
Well, and I thank you. Thank you. And we had a model for that already, because Liz and I, that's basically how we met. We met through communities on Twitter. And
that's true.
I kind of had a model for that, and I might as well just fess up. I could just tweet GIFs about Black Sails all day.
That's basically what you do.
Literally. It's my hobby. So yeah, no, it's been amazing. It's really today actually there was a conversation in the Fathoms Deep Twitter world about how it's been so nice to have this little corner where people could just have really respectful conversations, and that was what we wanted to foster. And
and even when we interviewed Craig and Lisa, they said that.
Yeah,
they pointed back to the fostering of community around the show and the fandom, and I think that we should, frankly, ladies, be very proud of that, because there's a lot of super toxic fandomness out there.
Yeah.
Just like the whole fandom communities can be awful. And we were the three talking about that. And I think that we should acknowledge that this was a good thing. This was good for the fandom. It was good for the show. And I'm very fiercely proud of the work that we've all done. So congratulations, ladies.
Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I love that we just have heard from a lot of listeners that, that they love this thing, and it was just a really wonderful experience for them to have a place to go. To express
absolutely.
that love and argue about it, and
right.
and have different opinions and have same opinions, and just sometimes just be like, I just really need a dose of Jack Rackham gifts today.
Sure.
Because
isn't that every day?
Exactly. I mean, but there's especially some days that I think, a good Jack Rackham gift is going to just, kind of
make everybody's day. Yep.
Exactly. Just solve all of the problems of your day, at least momentarily. So it's been lovely. And so, thank you, listeners. You all are amazing.
Yes.
It's been wonderful.
You are the community. So.
And we're talking like we're done. We're not at all done.
We're not.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit at the end about some of our plans. But yeah, okay. But let's get into this wrap. And the first item on the agenda is to address our season 3 wrap and our little prediction game.
Oh,
ladies.
Dear. I feel like that probably went really badly.
It was hilarious. And no, the funny thing is that I listened to it today to tally up, and there's a point where I said that Lauren was going to get the most right, and Lauren had to pause because she wanted to explain to everyone that she doesn't actually know anything, and all this, and I'm just like, yeah, we now have the proof that
it becomes quite clear that Lauren, in fact, knew nothing.
Any special information about season 4. Clearly, because we all really got almost everything wrong.
I'm so pleased to be wrong, because even in the finale, I was like, "Oh my god, Jack's gonna die soon. Jack's gonna die soon."
I know,
and then he wasn't dying, and there were only 5 minutes left in the episode, and I was like, "You fuckers, you're gonna kill Jack Rackham in the last 5 minutes on his body. How dare you?"
I know. I'm amazed that I had any coherent thoughts after the first watch. I probably didn't, because the whole time I'm going, "Don't kill Jack. Wait, oh shit. Now this is how you're gonna kill Jack. No, wait, this is how you're gonna kill Jack." That was my whole first watch. All right. So, but we're gonna start with Adele and Featherstone. Who, when this comes out, we will have already released our episode with them, who actually tell us a lovely story about when they were worried they were going to die.
Oh, yes. So cute.
Okay, so we our predictions about whether Adele and Featherstone were going to live. I think it was just a general prediction, but we ended up with a lot of living or dying as the actual predictions. Lauren said bed and breakfast. So,
which is pretty cute.
But you meant they were going to live. You weren't actually predicting bed and breakfast. I just called it the bed and breakfast option. So Lauren wins this one. We really must note that the creators outdid you.
Nobody could have predicted that. Yeah, Governor Featherstone. That was absolutely delightful.
I know. I love that they essentially wrote their own fan fiction for Featherstone and Adele.
I mean, when I interviewed them, I said that they were like, "What did this make that many hours of your life worth it?" And I was like, "Well, parts of the finale felt like, have you been reading my Black Sails fan fiction diary?" And
exactly.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
And that specific part, plus Mary Read, was what I meant.
Yes, and Mary Read. That's right. That was such a lovely little just fan gift. That was
Yeah,
yeah,
I
just
can't
a
believe we didn't
sweet
put that
treat.
in our prediction game. That should have been in our prediction
No,
game.
I think
Will
that
we
we had
get
all
married?
assumed that they just weren't going to. That they
Right.
did
We had all
Max
assumed they weren't
instead.
going to.
Or I mean,
Yeah.
I never thought they were going to throw in another character.
Yep.
So, and that's really the only way they could have done it.
In
That's
the
the
last
only way they could have
5
done it.
minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's fabulous. Okay, so yes, Liz, you said that one of them's going to die. You picked Adele. I picked Featherstone just to be
Different.
Pick the opposite thing.
Sure.
Right. All right, so that's one for Lauren. Oh, I didn't actually tally, so I will now tally. Okay, one for Lauren. Next, Jack and Anne.
Oh.
We all got this wrong.
Yeah, we all said they were going to die, or one of them was going to die, or somebody.
Right.
Death. We all predicted death.
Right. Lauren said both will die because of the, together.
Oh.
What is the quote? Oh my God.
Partners to the fucking ground.
Yeah.
Liz, you also said both. I don't think I predicted no, I think I said just Jack. I said Jack, and I'm amused by how I framed this. I was like, Jack's going to hang because I want him to have an interesting conversation with Woods Rogers before. Little did I know who Woods Rogers was going to become in season 4.
Yeah. Little did we all know. Good God.
So I got the great conversation, kind of. I mean, I got a great last moment between them.
Yeah, they got a good interaction.
Right, but Jack not hanging. But I'm just so amused because I think I was envisioning something along the lines of The Carriage, where they would just both be like charming and smart and, dueling wits, and not quite what we ended up getting. Okay, so nobody got that right. Okay, next. Eleanor Rogers, who would betray who? And I don't even know how to score this one. Okay, because you both basically said that Rogers was going to decide that Eleanor's making stupid decisions, but when both of you
That
said
is what
it,
happened.
kind of, because you both.
But kind of is what happened.
Yeah, I mean,
is,
that's what
right,
that's
that
his
is what
perspective. What happened? Yeah, absolutely.
It's just funny that because when you said it, you were both basically like on Roger's side. You were both like, well, Eleanor's going to do horrible things, and Rogers is eventually going to wake up and realize that's what she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And instead he did more horrible things.
Right, exactly. Like she was
like we
actually
still get
doing
points for that,
lovely
though.
things, and he betrayed her with horribleness.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to give both of you the point.
I think we both get the point. Yeah, that's
Right. You get the point for the prediction, but the nature of the interaction was like exactly flipped from the way you predicted it was going to be.
Fantastic.
Okay. I said no betrayal, but I said Eleanor dies. I'm the only one who thought Eleanor would die.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm the only one who said
Good
thinks Eleanor
call.
would die. So
yeah, I did not think
get
that
a
she
point.
would. Yeah.
Wait,
I could
God,
have
that was
sworn I thought
gorgeous,
she
too.
would.
No,
Did I
I think
not?
actually no. I think you actually did.
Oh,
Also say yeah, we both said Eleanor. Okay, we'll get to the death thing at the end. We did it. We did make lists.
Death tallies. That's
So
right.
yeah, you basically everyone gets a point for whoever they said would die who died. Let's do it that way.
Yes.
So next time, there's a show like this, then we'll be motivated to just say everyone dies, because then you'll get more points. But we'll have different rules then. Because I'm just assuming that we're all going to cover whatever the Black Sails creators do next, and there's just probably going to also be a lot of death. I don't know. Am I crazy? Is that crazy of me to? No, I don't. I have no idea. No idea what.
Maybe they'll make a shiny happy show next.
Maybe they will make a shiny happy show. Who knows?
Okay. Predictions again?
Yeah, no. Definitely not. Okay. So, you all got a point for that. Max. Liz wins. Liz said that Max would be on top.
Literally on top. Yes.
Literally on top.
Excellent. Yes.
Looking
Back on her
down
deck.
from
Yeah. Or her
yes,
balcony, rather.
Lauren stuck with her, maybe she's going to end up being Mrs. John Silver.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a very interesting prediction, though. That was very interesting.
And I said that she may not end up materially on top because I wanted her to let go of her thing that she's been searching for. She ended up getting both. That she ended up of giving up her thing that she was fixated on and still being on top. Max got the best. Max got a better future than I could have imagined for her.
That is very true. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Liz gets a point there. Whoa, I'm losing. I am seriously losing this. Next, Silver and Flint. This one's confusing. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Liz said that Silver was going to usurp Flint, but no literal death. Lauren also said no literal death. I said no literal death, but that Silver would end up isolated.
You were kind of the most right.
This is a hard one.
Okay, so we all went with no literal death, so let's say that all cancels each other out. Usurps Flint. No, he doesn't usurp Flint. He does end up being by himself, at least at the last point where we see him. He doesn't have a crew anymore, really.
He doesn't have a crew, and things are clearly not great between him and Maddie.
Right. So maybe I do win. I get a point. I declare myself to isolate.
I think
I get a point for isolation.
Point. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Because he doesn't have a crew. When we're talking about usurping Flint, it meant in terms of the crew. Okay, next up, there was actually a question of, does Eleanor die? Oh, and see here, Lauren did say yes. Okay. So I said yes. Liz said no. Lauren said yes. And interestingly, again, you wanted her to die for the consequences of her actions.
Oh. This has been such beautiful storytelling. I cannot believe that they made Eleanor just one of my very favorite characters. I could never have predicted that. Yeah, I had so much trouble coming around on Eleanor.
I think what I want to pause here to say is, like, I just feel like this season was in a lot of ways, I'm really pleased that we did these predictions and got so many wrong, because I feel like the moral of this story is that they are just so good at this that they just often, you know, like we did our prediction game based on these binary questions that were up until the point that we had seen. And then they were like, okay, you're going to make, we made these, they weren't reacting to our predictions. Obviously it was all shot already, but what's interesting to me about it is that a lot of times the thing that actually happened was outside of the frame of reference of what we were even imagining.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And
yeah, because they were just able to do so much more work and so much more storytelling. And God, they have such epic seasons. I mean, everything changes every season. Yep. I can't believe we tried to do predictions. That's adorable.
I know, it is adorable. Well, it was super fun, and it was fun. Sure, that's true. It was super fun. We were drinking, and I'm sure they, anyone from the show who was listening probably got a huge kick out of it.
I'm sure
at our expense. I'm sure that they thought we were hilarious, not intentionally. So we were being very unintentionally hilarious.
Unintentionally hilarious. Yes, that's darling.
Okay, so yes, Eleanor dying. That's where we stood. So I guess Lauren and I each get a point for yes. So far, as I predicted, Lauren is ahead. Okay, who will be our next Vane? I don't know if anyone ended up being our next Vane. Anne was the closest to. No? What do you think?
Yeah, Anne was the closest, but then they benched her for several episodes after that fight. So yeah.
But in the first few episodes, she definitely, she kind of textually was playing that role.
What did she was thinking?
She said like playing that role in the story.
That was based on when Jack says, "I'll be your Charles Vane."
Oh, yeah.
And so I asked who will be the Charles Vane, and so I had said either Anne or Billy.
Sure as hell wasn't Billy, I'll tell you that.
Although that's also interesting because Tom talked about the fact that possibly part of Billy's downfall was the pressure he felt from Vane kind of handing him the mantle during the hanging.
Sure.
That might have been an element in what ended up kind of taking Billy down the road he did, was that it was, that it was like he felt like he had to bear the responsibility of Vane's sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't make him the Charles Vane. It's just very
Well, I mean, right at first, I guess, was that even? Yeah, I mean, right at first he was. I mean, he was doing it until he turned.
Until Silver turned on him.
Until
Silver made him the monster he was this season.
Oh, that's so true. It was so heartbreaking.
I actually kind of disagree. I think Billy made himself the monster he was. I think in the very first episode, we already saw that he was being way more brutal.
He was certainly compromised, yes.
Right. He was already, because he had hung his own people like they were. I don't
know.
I think Billy started himself down that road before Silver showed up.
It's true,
Yeah,
but
but
Silver
then
gave him a
Silver
major
pushed him off the
push.
cliff.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. No. I mean, that's when he went full villain. But I think that the capability to go down that road was already really showing that, and I think from the first minute of season 4, there's no way that Billy could be compared with Vane. He did not have his purity.
Well, also, Billy's a more black and white character than the others,
Right.
and this
Yes.
world is not really a world for people who can't see nuance.
I was going to say, I can't believe you just called Charles Vane pure.
Oh, I've always called him pure.
He's-
I suppose that's true.
I see him as pure, but not also seeing things in black and white. Like, he's pure,
Right.
but he's also smart.
Yeah, he's a true pirate. He's a proper pirate. Yeah.
He's a proper... No, but it's not just that. It's that he's pure in that I don't think Vane... I mean, I've said this a bunch of times. I think his moral compass is in a different place than mine, but he doesn't...
But he's more uncompromising, maybe.
Right. He doesn't defy his own moral compass.
Yes.
And I think his moral compass has a purity to it. Like,
Okay,
that it's
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I actually don't see Vane as a particularly gray character either. I see him not bounding himself by good and bad the way we do in general. I mean, that was part I said in the last episode. That's part of why I thought it was terrific that Billy ended up with the villain speech, and why it made sense to me that Billy went so dark. Because if you live in a world where there's only light and there's only dark, then you're not.
Yeah.
He couldn't comfortably occupy that middle space.
Interesting.
I think Vane, I almost feel like Vane doesn't even have 2 parts to him. He just had one compass and he followed it, and it's kind of its own thing. It doesn't exist really in our general ideas of good and bad, but because it was really about like things like loyalty.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about good and bad. It was more relationship based, and he never compromised it. I don't think there's a point where Vane compromised what he saw as right and wrong.
That's why I think Anne was that role this season.
Right. Exactly. Right. But once she knew herself, once Anne went through her metamorphosis and got to a place of knowing herself, and we even have that line where she says to Jack, "I'm not here to figure out who I am." Which that was actually my favorite Anne moment this season, because that was specifically speaking to season 2, where she says, if I'm not this, I'm not that, what the hell am I, or what the fuck am I?
Right. Yes.
But then she actually said to Jack, while she's trying to convince him not to do stupid stuff, and thereby convince Teach not to do stupid stuff. Well, we know how that turned out. But the beauty of it was that she said that line, that she said, "I'm not here to figure out who I am." And even in all of season 3, she had been trying to guide Jack towards smart decisions.
Mm-hmm.
To no avail. But
Well.
but I just loved that line so much, because I feel like that Anne had acquired this centeredness that Vane always had. I mean, Vane arced and he learned, but I don't feel like he ever had that like betraying of his core principles like most of our characters do. It's not just that they're gray, is that part of their tragedy is that they end up betraying what they think is their correct path.
Yeah. No, I like that. I see what you're saying, and I think I agree. I think we have to give that to Anne.
Yeah. I love that she got the last ship command of the series.
Yes!
I know.
Yes.
I remain salty that she was not involved in the final battle, but I liked that she got the last ship command.
Yeah, no, that would have been super fun, and we'll always have the battles that we got to see Anne doing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll make a note so I don't forget it, like I often do when I say we'll talk about something later. But I think there's something to this. I think that Anne and Max are the 2 characters that most fulfilled their potential.
Yes.
And I think they helped each other do that. Like throughout the 4 seasons, if you look at their storylines as a couple or as a pair, they are the 2 people who ended up being the best versions of themselves more so than any other characters.
Okay. No, I like that.
And the fact
most
that
fully realized, perhaps.
Right. The most fully realized versions of themselves. And that it happened slowly and it happened organically.
Yes.
And that throughout the 4 seasons, they helped each other through that. They had
Yeah,
moments throughout where
sure.
they each helped the other one find that place. And so that's part of why I love that Anne did The Last Command, because I just, it's the same thing with the horrible fight and the, when they were down below decks.
And get up,
Is
that line.
Well, but just like the symbolism of the fact that, you can never forget that her big breakdown had to do with Jack leaving her because the crew rejected her. So to have her have these important moments this season with the crew, or, it's not the full crew, a lot of them have died and, things have happened, but symbolically to have her have these two incredibly important moments with the crew that rejected her is just so powerful to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Although if we're talking about characters fulfilling their potential, this is fulfilling their potential in a different way. But Silver kind of became a victim of his own storytelling and his own manipulation.
Oh, interesting. Sure,
and so he kind of fulfilled his potential as like master string puller in a way that he probably would not have even anticipated.
That's true. That's true. I guess I was talking about in terms of people becoming their best selves.
Right. Not really what Silver became.
Right. That's a different discussion about whether Silver. Yeah, he became his most effective self.
Sure.
Yes, with all of the baggage that comes with that. Yeah. I have many Silver notes. We're definitely going to, after the predictions, we're going to have to talk a lot about Silver. I mean, I feel like this was kind of Silver's season.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. John had said that it was Flint's story, and then at some point it starts shifting to Silver's story. I mean, I think it is both of their story throughout, but I think, this one. Okay, we'll get there. Let's do some more. We have a few more predictions. Okay. Oh, actually, we only have. Oh, wait, no, I think we have another page. Okay. Major characters that were going to die. I said Jack, Eleanor, and Teach.
Wow.
2 out of 3.
Eleanor, 2 out of 3 is pretty good.
2 out of 3. Okay.
Pretty good.
Oh, but I think I already gave myself a point for Eleanor dying, so I only get 1. Okay. Liz said Teach, Jack, and Anne.
Oh, so just 1 out of the 3. Yep. I stand by that, though. That is definitely what I thought.
Lauren said Jack, Eleanor, Teach, and Anne. So you get 2. All right. So before I turn the page, Lauren is at 5. Liz is at 3, and I am also at 3.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah, it is interesting. Okay.
I guess Lauren at some point had said that, part of her max as Mrs. Silver was that Maddie would die. Also didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think I spent the whole season being afraid that Maddie would die up until almost the last minute.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't do that as an official prediction. The last one was, will Joji speak? No.
That one hurt.
Groan, and that's all you get. Yeah.
So, the reigning queen of the prediction game, as I predicted.
Do you get a point for that?
Is Lauren Sarner. No, I did not.
Congratulations, Lauren. You did it.
I was right about slightly more things. I'm still incredibly wrong about most things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hilarious thing. It's like I have this whole page of things and, of many, many categories. And we got this few. I mean, come on. I mean, Havana, who would have predicted Havana like that?
Right. God, no way. No way.
I'm so amused still by the fact that we saw like Eleanor as the dangerous person and Woods Rogers as the saner.
Well, that's how it was.
The reasonable half of that.
That's where we were.
It is where we were.
I know, but it's so good. I
love
it so
that's
much.
Amazing. Yeah, they really turned the tables on us. Well crafted.
In the best way. I mean, it just, yeah. All right, so where should we start in talking about our season? What would you all like to do? I have many silver notes. I would actually like to start with Flint, if you all don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
I guess it always comes back to Flint for me.
Yeah. Okay. Flint.
So,
God,
okay, my question is
proud of Flint. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to gush over him.
Gush away.
I am so proud of Flint, of James McGraw. And I mean, I think it's so beautiful. For me, it was so beautifully put metaphorically. For me, it was metaphorically when we have Thomas Hamilton in the white and Flint in the black meeting together across that field and embracing. And I said in the finale episode, how that felt almost like a mirror image that it was, it was his integration of these two selves that he was finally, his truest self. So I might, you know what? I can't believe I didn't argue that earlier when we were talking about how Max, well, I guess because I think he's dead. So that's why he can't come out on top and he can't get his
but there's, I mean, what I was talking about with Max and Anne was about emotional integration, not.
Yeah,
really
I think that Flint is there too. I can't believe I didn't say that when we were talking about it earlier. I absolutely think Flint is there too. And he had so much further to go.
He had so much further to go. And I think that he got farther than he was in the past. I mean,
yes, he is more himself now than when he was Dimples McGraw.
Right,
me,
exactly.
Most himself during his Here Be Dragons monologue. That was the pinnacle moment.
Yes.
Right, because he had the strength. I mean, that was the thing that always, like, remember when right after, at the beginning of 206, right? So right after the no shame and we find out what happens and the kiss and all of that. And then there's the next moment, well, okay, he's fighting with Vane, but once they stop fighting, then there's that they're all meeting at the table to strategize when Vane says, give me my future right here in this room. And I freaked out because the book, the Marcus Aurelius, was on the table there. And I was like, oh, yeah, holy shit, he's there. And the book's still there. And I was like, oh, the book's still there. Like, this totally made sense. And the fact that Miranda came into that room, and I talked about how that was probably the first moment where Miranda had ever seen his Flint self, truly, had ever seen him with other pirates. Oh, and so it was almost like, and that for me felt like a moment of integration because in the flashbacks, remember his mentor, was that Hennessy? Is that Hennessy?
Oh, Admiral Hennessy, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So remember that one moment where he talks about how James, when he was Dimples, he did talk about him having this darkness inside, and that's did he call it darkness or like something?
Yes, no, he did. I think he did say darkness. Yeah.
So he had something, and he said that's what made him part of what made him a great leader.
Yes.
So I feel like, and then we had that moment right after that conversation where like he like freaked out and beat up all the rich kids.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I feel like back in London, he also wasn't fully integrated because it was like had Dimples.
He was hiding that.
But he was hiding the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the flashbacks with Miranda about her birthing Flint had to do with the process of actually, it was almost like he had to, at some point, let the Flint self come out so that he could integrate them at the end.
Illuminate the darkness. He had to see that it wasn't, in fact, darkness. It wasn't, in fact, like his...
That his darkness also wasn't darkness. It
was
something...
right. Like his ability to lead men into the fight, his ability to make the kinds of sacrifices that are necessary for freedom, for independence, for giving other people also the freedom to make choices. That he was part. He said, who can illuminate more than we can, right?
Right.
Like he's recognizing that those parts of himself, those parts of himself that he was equally ashamed of, I think.
Yes. Right.
That he had to come to terms with that as well. Remember, he always wanted to doff Flint. He wanted to take off the mantle of the character of Flint. And now I don't think he does. I think that he sees not only where his sexuality is good and pure, but that also his ability to make the hard calls to strangle Gates when he had to do these things, to make the calls that Silver couldn't make for the war.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know that I agree with him or that anybody has to agree with him, but for his truth, he recognized that those parts of himself were not evil, were not dark.
Wow. Well, and that relates to, remember I asked last episode when we covered the finale, I said, what a shame that Flint didn't say these inspiring things earlier, and maybe that's why. Like maybe he didn't know. He didn't know. He needed to reach the point where he could integrate the things, the side of him that was inspired by Thomas,
Yes.
and also the side that the Flint side, or I don't even know
Yes.
what to call it anymore, but
Maybe we can call him McFlint. The new integrated version is McFlint.
right. So it's almost like to reach the place where he could actually be inspiring to others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sadly, it ended up just being a speech he gave to Silver, although Silver was the person who most needed to hear it, maybe. I don't know. But that moment where he actually could have that speech, I mean, I know, Liz, you were like, that world doesn't exist. But part of me was just like, wait, Flint, I wanted you to be talking like this all along.
Yeah. No, and obviously I didn't say it then. That's
Right.
why, like, that idea that I just said about darkness and him illuminating it,
Right.
like, just now came to me. So now I'm sitting here thinking, is that actually true, though? Is that?
No, I think it is, because what he's saying in the speech essentially is that the darkness isn't darkness.
It's not dark at all.
It's a place where someone else casts shadows.
Yes. Oh, God, Daphne. That
And
was
for
brilliant.
me, that's like the pinnacle of the Silver Flint thing, because that is not how Silver sees it, and he's unable to see it in that way. Because for him, darkness is just darkness. He can't see light in
Right.
it.
Well, and maybe that has to do with the fact that Flint, I mean, it's funny, like Flint's need to create stories from his experiences has often been something that's made his life more difficult, but maybe ultimately that's what it is that if you are a person who sees stories as real, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, basically we get down to like the big difference between them is that Silver's saying, I will use stories, but I don't actually see them as real. So if he doesn't see his own life as a story, like if he refuses to see, he refuses to recognize the power of his own experience as story.
Yes.
And Flint, the opposite, almost does it too much. But the thing is that Silver, I now see Silver's relationship with story as a tool, something he uses to influence others.
Have you heard of the term autobiographical determinism?
No, but I can imagine what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know enough about it, but let's put a pin in that to talk about it with
Okay.
Alistair, because he said that word
Okay.
once. Basically, yeah, that idea that when you start to tell your own version of your story of how you present yourself to the world, like
Right.
you make yourself that person.
What I'm saying is that if you see storytelling as just as a tool and not as something real, then you actually can't get to the place where you see the world in terms of how other people frame you. Like all of the Flint's whole speech is about stories,
Yes.
right? It's about how civilization is telling a story about us,
Mhm.
but he's not and Flint, because he has worked so hard on analyzing his own life as a story, he has the vision to be able to say, well, but that's not true. That story that they're telling about us,
Mhm.
I have a counter story. Like I've analyzed the story they've told about us in relation to the way I've analyzed my own story of myself that has evolved over the years, and now I understand that their story isn't true. And for Silver to say, I don't care, that none of that matters, Silver will never be a person who will analyze the world in the way of people who change it. So like this is the ultimate difference between
Yes.
them.
Yes.
That Flint's always analyzing civilization story, the empire story, his own story, and so he's kind of always kind of working out how these things work, together or
Yes.
against each other. So he can be a person who will analyze the world and figure out how it needs to change. Silver,
And then change it.
well, or try
Well,
to change
yeah,
it. But
yeah. Or yeah.
but have the motivation to change it.
Yes.
And the tool. I mean, I think on some level, Flint had the tools. It didn't work out for him, but he had some tools. Whereas Silver, if you see basically stories as just not real, like just something you tell to get what you want or what you need or
Interesting.
motivate
Yes.
people, then you can't analyze the world then, basically.
Yes. So they are essentially then almost living in two different realities.
In a way, they kind of are.
That's fascinating.
I would argue that Silver starts integrating Flint's own reality almost immediately. It's not just someday you will. His someday happens right away. Like, for example, when he's
Right.
talking to Matt
Absolutely.
Muddy and he's like, I'm not him, I'm not that villain, I'm not that man. Really, A, caring, and B, being almost Flint-like in how he's trying to present this story to her. And even though he says he doesn't care, he's trying to win her over. He very clearly does care.
Yes.
No, of course. Who is he? Who is him? When he says that? No, I really think this is a huge
that's a
question.
huge question.
It is
yeah,
huge.
who is him? When he says, "I'm not the villain you imagine," I'm not him.
Because you would think it would be Flint, but Maddie never saw Flint as a villain. Like that, she gave that like joyous smile when she saw Flint. She loved Flint. So yeah, that him I think is Long John Silver.
Yeah, I think so. Long John Silver. I completely agree.
So basically, when Flint integrated himself, Silver went into full-on duality.
Yeah,
that's their switching places, which they seem to have done a lot. Like that Silver's now looking at himself as two separate people, the way Flint used to.
Well, but he has a level of self-denial about it that Flint never did. Flint always was aware of it. Whereas Silver, like, no matter what you think happened to Flint in the end, whether he actually is dead, whether he's actually with Thomas, whether Silver sent him to the plantation to be like enslaved there, whether he sent him with the money to free Thomas, whatever you think. Like Silver's story in itself, the story he tells Maddie, is weird in that when he's discussing Flint's transition from becoming McGraw to Flint.
Yes.
From
becoming Flint to McGraw.
First of all, they don't show it playing out because we know that's not how it played out, because we're already talking about how he had integrated these two selves already.
Yes.
So that is that could not have possibly happened. So either
in that sense, Silver did not unmake him at all because he was already on that path. Is that what you're saying? He had already integrated because he integrated those two selves. So that's already a part of Silver's story. That's very interesting.
Yes, but my question for you is, do you think that Silver has convinced himself that is what happened? Or that is, do you think Silver is aware that isn't possibly what could have happened because he was already integrated?
Okay. So your question is Silver lying, or has he convinced himself of this story?
Yes, yes. At least even divorcing the part of whether the end on the plantation is real, just the part about Flint's transition and how he kind of became, Flint to McGraw.
Huh.
I wonder if that is intentionally ambiguous as well. Because it could certainly go either way. Because and I love it both ways, to be honest. Because first of all, we can't forget that Long John Silver is villainous. I've got to read Treasure Island.
But he doesn't think he's villain.
Right. He doesn't. He doesn't. Does he?
Well, most villains don't, first of all.
Exactly.
But
very true.
No, but he's a very congenial villain in Treasure Island.
Right.
Right. Right. I mean, I think I'm going to come back to Flint because before we have a lot to talk about Silver. And I think that the finale, I feel like all of the discussions about the finale have really focused right now, since it's very fresh for everyone. I should maybe note that we're posting this episode 2 weeks after the finale, but we're actually recording it
mere days,
the Wednesday after it aired.
Yes.
So it's a little bit. So we don't really
quite
know.
Fresh, actually.
Right. We don't know where the discussions within the fandom will be when this episode drops. We know where it is. So we're speaking to Wednesday, April 5th.
Yes.
As of Wednesday, April 5th.
Hello, past listeners.
Yes. Right. As of Wednesday, April 5th, I feel like a lot of the focus is about Flint in the questions, the discussions about what's happening with the ending. And that's all really interesting. But again, I don't think I'm going to ask you all, I'm about to say something and then I'll ask you all what you think. I said this about the last 2 episodes, and I think it's actually quite true of the whole last season. Mm-hmm. I don't think Flint changed a lot during this season. Silver changed a lot. Like I said, that the memories in 409 are obviously Silver's memories, because it was Silver that was going through a transformation of his. He had a question about what he was going to do. Flint didn't change his attitude towards Silver or how he felt about Silver. It was Silver who was going through a process. And I now, going back and watching this whole season, I think that Flint actually is more or less the same guy this whole season.
It's very interesting.
and that, so this whole season, so
interesting.
even this question about the open ending of the finale is really a question about Silver, which goes to what Lauren was just saying. Like, I think that the focus on Flint is one thing, but ultimately the focus will shift to what this says about Silver. Like, and I love the idea that, is he lying, or is he telling himself a story as well? Like, how much is he lying? I mean, that's also part of the what happened with Flint question is really a question about how much is Silver not telling Maddie the truth? Was he not telling her the truth well, I guess he he was withholding information if he was planning on sending Flint to the plantation. So he was always having some level of not complete honesty with Maddie.
Right.
The question is, was it just withholding information in the past, or was it lying in the present, or was it something he told himself? So that's also an option. But let's go to the Flint question, because I now think that, I just love the structure of the last two episodes very, very much. So we see these memories in 409, which is of a very integrated Flint already, I would say. Right? And so those memories in the timeline of our whole story are actually right after 310. That's the closest to the finale of season 3 that we are in this season.
Interesting.
It's before, it predates.
That's right.
Predates the battle at the beginning of this season.
That's right.
So I think we're already seeing super integrated Flint there. I mean, not necessarily I agree that the There Be Dragons speech is actually his apex of
Slash television's apex.
Yeah, that too. Very true, Lauren. So true. I know, right? Favorite moment in television now.
Just extraordinary.
Can we just all declare
Just
it the best moment in television?
That's why I was so mad at whoever cut the trailer, that they put a tiny bit of it in the trailer, because I was like, no part of it.
No,
yeah, that should have all been.
Yeah, that should have all been experienced purely in its moment. Okay. So yes, there's some amount of integration still to happen in season 4, but I think relative to the other seasons for Flint, he's pretty, he's 99% of the way there already in Silver's memories of him, which means that most of his integration perhaps happened in that fireside chat. The fireside chat that I thought was so scary and threatening might have actually been the moment, that unburdening of himself, that sharing of his story might have been it. I mean, what do you all think of that? And
I think that's a really good point.
Do you feel like Flint in season 4 has been pretty much the same guy? We
he
kept
has
talking
been
about
consistent. It. You know what I think? I do think that it gave him an extra nudge or helped him with his full integration when he had to come alongside Silver, but because he recognized Silver's floundering, because it was the same way that he floundered when he lost Miranda.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think when he had to be strong for Silver in that way, when he had to look out for him and say, I will walk you through this. I will take care of you through this. That was healing for him as well.
Right. Oh, I think there were definitely more moments. I think also when Maddie quoted Cervantes to him,
yes,
and he was like, holy shit.
I'm not alone.
I'm not alone. Well, and she reminded him of Thomas. That was,
yeah, and I guess that's what I mean to say. Yeah.
You could argue that Maddie on many levels actually is already some amazing amalgam of a Flint and a Thomas, or a James and a Thomas. And that he got to see that. So I think there definitely are steps. I think also Eleanor's death, to be honest, that episode that he reconnected with Eleanor and got to have that experience again of being this caring person to her.
Right.
He was his generosity to her in not forcing her to accept what her husband had done and all of that. I think that,
God, that was so gorgeous.
Right. I think there are moments of growth,
gorgeous.
but I really do believe now that Flint was so close at the end of season 4. He was so close at the beginning of season 4 to what we see at the end of season 4. And I find that interesting. And then we need to talk about Silver, because Silver's the one who went through so many transformations during this season.
See, I actually think I disagree a little with that. At first, I was having a hard time following what was going on in Silver's mind, because I was like, whoa, I'm so thrown off by A, him being deeply in love, and B, I was really thrown off by that because it seemed out of character for me. But then 409 actually clarified it a lot, because as you said, that's the time between seasons 3 and 4. Because season 3, I had seen him as this, like, he almost is his own version of a mythical character when they're by that fire, and Silver's kind of being this ultimate string puller and being so in control. And then I feel like this season was a revelation for me in realizing that Silver's kind of insecure, because 310 had made me think that was not the case.
Right.
But 409, he obviously is very insecure in his reluctance to share his backstory with Flint. And that is the time after that fireside chat. So that actually really helped me kind of see Silver's character better.
Yeah, exactly. So wait, can I walk you all through my notes that I took on each episode of Silver?
Oh my God, yeah.
I did.
Well, of course you did.
Okay, fine.
Lauren and I are both laughing at Daphne, just so you know. We also are appreciating you. This is why I don't have to take notes.
So yeah, I meant to just do a general rewatch. I ended up pretty much with a Silver rewatch.
Okay.
Well, which again, I mean, you know, 409 in particular, I had the same thing as Lauren. Like, I felt like 409 reframed my beliefs about Silver, and in a beautiful way. Like,
yes.
So, and I agree. I mean, I guess I can reiterate. I mean, I really came out of 409 with the idea that Silver had come from a world of horrors. That's some sort of horrible abuse. There are, again, that's the beauty of ambiguity. The amazing beauty of ambiguity is that we can, at different points in our lives or at different points in the day, assign different storylines to that, and kind of, like, you know, try each one on and see where that takes us emotionally. But for me, I'm still sticking with this one, at least for now. It felt to me like Silver's reluctance to talk about a story, or even his reluctance to create it as a story, had to do with abuse. And so this really works for me in his progression in season 4. Like, so the first thing we see with Silver is the two of them in that room before the, you know, horrible ship killing battle. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
No, but it was interesting because Flint was the one who was having doubt, and Silver was the one who said, you know, oh, you know, we've managed together to get our men to do amazing things. Let's do it one more time. And he says to call Nassau home. So it's interesting because Silver obviously was on board for this some kind of war. And I think what happened was the problem that when it was about his people and home, which is something he desperately needed, even though he pretended in the beginning, just like he pretended in the beginning of the series to be a coward, he also pretended to be a person who doesn't need people. And then once he started to be offered kind of human... Do
you think he pretended to be a person who didn't need people, or that he wanted to be, and then that was a part of his true personality?
Okay. No, I don't think it was a true part of his personality. I think remember we talked to Jessica about Max putting up walls once she was hurt? I think that the loner thing was Silver's version of walls.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But I don't know.
Right?
I see Silver as less self-aware than Flint, or at least,
certainly.
And he's less self-aware than he thinks that he is.
Right. Yes. No, I'm analyzing him now. I don't think this is something he did intentionally.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah.
Right? I'm psychoanalyzing the boy. No, I don't think he said, I think I come from a life of abuse, therefore I'm going to pretend I don't need people. I think
right. But not like I know what I'll do. I'll pretend. Okay. Yes.
No. I know. Okay. I think
mustache twirl.
No, I'm glad you asked. No. I don't think it's that at all. And this goes to my larger thing. I mean, my larger thing here is that if you choose to not recognize the power of your past, the power of your story, it actually will have more power over you than if you choose to analyze yourself. I mean, I do believe that, you know, there are some happy-go-lucky people in the world who just, like, don't think about themselves and stuff. I don't think that's the storyline of Black Sails. Like, remember, I think it was Hannah who was talking about how Max is more introspective than Eleanor. I mean, I think that people who choose to not be introspective, or who are damaged too much to be introspective, their actions end up working against them. They end up again, I think that I feel like I'm not saying this properly. I feel like if you things happen to people. Like you asked me this in the last episode, Liz. You said, is Silver not affected by his story? Like, do I think that that's possible? And I was like, no, of course that's not possible.
Right.
Everyone's affected
Everyone
by.
is.
And if you describe your backstory as the only words you can use for it is unending horror,
Yeah.
like a world of unending horror, how can you pretend that won't affect you?
Right. Of course.
That's crazy to say
Right.
that you could just turn that off and have that not be something that's motivating you.
I think that there's a level of self-denial to Silver that is unique in this world, even in this world of characters who are introspective, but not necessarily in ways that match what others think of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if anything, if we learned anything from season 4, it's that Silver is kind of the king of that.
Yes. Well, and especially because, what Hannah said about Eleanor is just that she isn't introspective, not that she
Right.
chooses not to be, that she basically saw Eleanor as someone who just didn't have that toolkit. And Silver obviously has it because look at how perceptive he has been about Flint throughout. So Silver has the capability for that kind of introspection, but he might be just, again, all this stuff points to me of abuse. Like he might be, just decidedly like, I just refuse to look deeper because it's too painful.
Right.
And that's why I keep coming back to whatever you think he did to Flint. Whatever he did, it wasn't good. And
Right.
but
Right.
I think there's an element of him rationalizing it to himself,
Right. Sure.
and telling himself a story. Which is why when I interviewed the creators, one thing that John said that was really interesting was he said, I'd be interested to read Treasure Island now, thinking about what Silver's motives might be. And he said there's a version of the story where Silver's motives are just preserving this narrative he created about what happened to Flint.
Wow.
Because if he hears that Billy's after the treasure, that is disrupting the narrative that he created.
Wow. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, now why so?
Because I feel like I left episode 10 being really satisfied, but being also like, wait a minute, how does this Silver connect to Treasure Island Silver? I think a lot of people are like that. Like, why do you guys
now
think?
I'm following now. Yeah.
Why do you guys think Silver ends up going after that treasure years later?
That's an excellent question.
It's not greed for money.
It can't be
Right.
greed. Yeah, I can't imagine
No.
greed.
Right. For me, I think what, and again, this goes to what I started saying here. For me, I think it has to do with getting the crew back together. Like that was how I saw it, was that, again, this whole idea of mattering, like that Silver essentially kind of turned away from the treasure when Flint activated him with this, where else would you wake up and matter? Right. Because Silver could have just, run off. He could have gotten out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And Flint said that to him, and then he chose to address the crew. So, right. So I don't think that Silver actually cares about, I don't think he actually cares about the gold. Like the mattering meant much more to him in that moment than the thing he always, up until then, had said is what matters to him most. Like he was like, I want to get rich quick and get out of here. And then the minute Flint used the word matter in season 2, he's like, okay, I'm going to go address a crew now. And and that kind of accelerated. Like that was the point where he was like, then, went pretty quickly from that to like cutting the line to the foremast. Oh God, I'm still bad at ship
I know.
terms.
It's okay. Yeah. Mast, whatever.
Right. The thing he did when Vane's crew took over and then, losing his leg. So it was like, I felt like in some ways that was when Flint motivated him in this direction, this new direction of community and the sacrifices you make for community. So that's kind of how I saw it, was that like somehow the point of getting the treasure was to get his crew back together. That, this quiet domestic life wasn't enough for him because he needed the community of a crew. He needed to be, and that relates back to what the guy talked about in 409 with the painting.
I do like that better. Yeah, that it wasn't greed for the treasure that makes him go back, but rather
the
needing to matter. Yeah, I like that very much, Daphne.
No, but I love. But see, those two things can coexist. Like,
Yeah,
they're not mutually exclusive at all. Like to add to it a need to continue his internal narrative about what his motivations were with Flint just adds another beautiful layer to what would make Silver do that.
Right.
Well, also maybe to see himself as Flint saw him, because even if, at the end, Maddie's vision of him has been you know, even though she comes back to him,
Right.
That's true.
she no longer sees him as this like infallible person.
Right.
He's been tarnished, and so maybe part of it is to see himself how Flint saw him.
That's gorgeous.
Right.
That's gorgeous, Lauren.
Right. As half of the world in balance.
Oh.
Yes. Humans. Wait, what is it that you said, Liz? That we are beautiful, damaged creatures.
Beautiful, complicated, haunted things is what I said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And that is beautiful. I mean, I love that when you said that, beautiful was one of the
Thank you for reminding that I said that, actually.
I just never really lose sight of that because I felt like you summed up Black Sails in so few words so perfectly. Okay, so wait, can I just go through, I'll try to go through quickly like this progression of Silver that I see. So he starts out being gung-ho for the war when he thought it was about Nassau and home. 404 is when Billy sows the seed of this being dangerous to Maddie, Flint's war.
Yes.
Right? So that seed is sown in the same episode. That's when Silver both learns about the plantation and brings up Thomas to Flint. This is the point where Silver says the thing about that we're least rational at the place where we're most vulnerable. So I think this is kind of a turning point for Silver, and this is the same episode in which Flint essentially abandons him. This is at the gate of betrayal. This is the point where Flint abandons him, and I think that So I think that 404 actually is a big shift for Silver. I think that up until that point, he probably had equal sense of fulfillment. I mean, again, this isn't about allegiance. I think that I'm starting to believe that for Silver, this is all about who is going to take care of him emotionally.
His motives are totally selfish. Exactly.
Right. Right, but not diabolically selfish.
Oh, absolutely. Like selfish, and like he's like a lost boy. Like he's
exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say is that he's kind of like a lost boy, and also I think he started this wanting to play this role, wanting to play this Long John Silver as king role. And then he started to understand how difficult it was going to be for him. Like, first of all, Flint abandoned him. And then he walked over a threshold into the sunlight just so there was daylight between them. But I think that the combination of having it was a comfortable place for him when he could do it in coalition with Flint. But the minute Flint leaves him is when he has to make this decision about Billy, and Hans, does his slappy of him. And I think that
slappy. Sorry. Oh no, it's okay.
So I think that's in 405. I think 405 is where the weight of it becomes too much for him. I think I came into this season, I guess I'm really working through my own preconceived notions. If no one remembers, go back to our season finale when we discussed the end of season 3. Like, I was all like, ooh, Silver's so dangerous and he's kind of threatening Flint. And so I think I went into season 4, despite what John said, despite what Luke said about him.
Right.
I still went into season 4 being like, oh, Silver's going to, he's trying to take over and he wants to usurp Flint. And on rewatch after seeing 409, I started to realize that Silver is a lost boy. Like that what motivates him most is his need to have human connection more than anything else. And he had that with Flint, and that was really gratifying for him. And I think the idea of going along with the war was maybe mostly just so that he could have this close connection with someone.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
then the war started to threaten that because it was, people were dying every day. That's what happens in war.
Right. And he had to make these hard choices. And he talks about that in the season finale. Like, then he suddenly had to choose between Flint and Billy. And then Maddie was like, Billy has to go. And Billy was like, Flint has to go. And he had to make all of these hard decisions. And Hans was like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. I'm just going to stand here in the room and judge you and then slap you a bit. Like, you are on your own if you're going to be king. And I think for Silver, that was actually like he tried to do it, but that was like the worst thing in the world. The guy who once upon a time claimed or pretended to want to be a loner or convinced himself he was a loner, when he's on top of the world in some senses and told he needs to make these decisions by himself, he's like, oh no, I don't want this thing anymore. That's when he kind of starts to freak out. That's when he starts to talk about, that's when he asks Maddie, when right after Flint essentially abandons him is when he says to Maddie, could I be enough?
You see, that's when I began to feel really weird about the relationship, because before I was like, oh, what a cute relationship, whatever. And then I was like, wait, like the depth of his feeling for her was really throwing me off, because I did not see him as a guy who would fall so deeply in love within a relatively short period of time. But then 409 helped clarify that.
I also love that time. Yeah, time is meaningless in Black Sails too, which is really great.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's true, but I was very taken aback by that in terms of how I had seen his character. But the Lost Boy thing really helps because, like I said, like she's his safe harbor. Flint was his safe harbor. And like he has these various, exactly.
But that's what's interesting. So he basically also convinced us. That's the thing, is I'm saying now that early Silver basically convinced us that he's more self-sufficient than he actually is. Like he was doing such a good con job of this, like, I'm self-sufficient. Absolutely. I'm a loner. I don't need anyone. I just want to get rich and go, like, chill out on some island.
Right. I mean, Flynn Rider.
Some island. Right.
It's very Flynn Rider. Eugene fits over. Oh my God.
He convinced us he's Flynn Rider.
He did, but he's actually Eugene Fitzherbert. This is amazing.
It's totally true.
Oh my God, it is. I love stories.
So that's what's interesting is if you see him then as someone who's damaged and vulnerable and needing human connection, it reframes everything in season 4. That was my experience now.
But it's also funny because, like, no matter how you look at it, whatever he did, Flint was deeply fucked up. And here we're going like, oh, poor boy.
Which is, I know.
Because
I know. That's everyone.
I mean, that's the thing. He's our new Flint.
Everybody. Yeah. Oh, God. But it's true. This is the first time I'm feeling any sympathy for him. Because remember, during the finale episode, I was not feeling sympathy for Silver at all.
Most of the season being so angry at Silver. I was very mad at him for most of the season.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not an accident that he says, I didn't want this.
Oh, God. Yep. No, I know. Every time. I don't know how I didn't notice it then. This is not what I wanted. Good God.
This is not what I wanted. The parallel isn't just about the question of what happened in 410. The parallel is there because, like we always say, the moment you have the most sympathy for Flint is when he's killing Gates. That's when we most understand him.
Yeah.
We most say, oh my God, you're doing the worst thing, and oh my God, I have the most sympathy for you because you're doing it because
now,
of
how come that missed then with Silver?
It doesn't once you watch the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. It's
like
if you go back and watch it, if you think of him as a lost boy who's damaged and needing human connection, again, he conned us. He conned us like he conned everyone. But when you go back and watch it, you see that version of Silver.
Yeah.
And he seems so vulnerable.
Oh, God.
Finally, that image of him in the doorway where, which when I saw that in the previews, I was like, oh, he looks so small and vulnerable. But in the moment, I kind of was like that because, like, oh God, now he's lost Flint and he's got to do stuff by himself.
Did we already talk about that as being more birth imagery?
Yes, we did.
Good.
We talked about that back then. But it's also a threshold.
Also a threshold.
So,
same difference, really.
Right, but now when I did the rewatch with this idea of him being from a place of damage and being a lost boy, that image of him like that there totally made sense in the way I assumed it was going to. He looks so alone and untethered. Like he needs tethers. He needs his tethers more than we ever imagined he did.
Right.
And he's ruined them himself. He ruined Flint.
Oh, God.
He ruined his relationship with Maddie.
This is what I'm saying. He is our new Flint. He is our new Flint.
Sweetheart.
Like, I now feel for him exactly exactly the way I used to feel for Flint.
Oh, God.
Well, because also when he says, I never wanted this, you kind of interpret that as him saying, I never wanted to be in Flint's position. I never wanted to be Flint. And
right. Of course he did.
And so I think when he says, to go back to who is he, when he says to Maddie, I am not him, yes, he's talking about Long John Silver to her, but I think he's talking about Flint to himself. So there's two things going on there.
That's what I think too.
Because Maddie doesn't see Flint as this fearsome villain, but Silver did for a bit, at least in the beginning, and he kind of knows the mantle of Flint.
And that might also be part of the narrative he needs to tell himself.
Exactly.
That Flint was dangerous.
Exactly.
That Flint was dangerous to, he definitely had the narrative that Flint was dangerous to Maddie. Not personally, but, in the larger sense.
Yeah. But no, to go back to what you said, Liz, about why are you struggling this more than with Flint killing Gates? It's because Gates was lovable, but he was just this 8-episode character who, he didn't have super big goals and ambitions. He was content to sit on his porch and make fun of the art. Whereas we have followed Flint so closely for 4 seasons, and he has all these ambitions that are both grand and extremely personal.
Right, yeah, we want
Thomas
more for him.
Supplanting the civilized world, all of these grand things. So and Silver is the one who stopped that because
that's true.
He needs to see a psychologist. So.
Right, yeah. So Silver killed more than Flint, if you believe that he killed Flint, which I do. Then Silver killed more than Flint, but he also killed the world that Flint saw, the opportunity to get that world.
Well, and that world that was so inspiring to us.
He brought down the whole war with it. Yeah. Interesting. Yep. No, that's good, Lauren. I think you're right.
Right. And remember what I said in the when we talked about the season finale, I was like having a hard time deciding which speech was more inspiring to me. The Maddie talking about, about the men and women, the hundreds of years of men and women and children, or the There Be Dragons speech. They're both
There Be Dragons for me, but they are both lovely.
Yeah. No, but they're both moving for me in different ways. They're moving for me in very different ways, but they're both. I mean, they're two of possibly the most moving speeches I may have ever seen.
Yeah, God, this show. Thank you, creators. Thank you.
And thank you, our actors for
just
making those words come alive for us.
Yes.
Yeah. So no matter what, we basically got in 2 episodes 2 speeches that gave us a glimpse into a better world, a world that we want. I mean, I guess there's some people watching the show who don't want that world, but I would say I think the 3 of us are definitely in a place where both of those things gave us a glimpse into a world of righteousness and a world to aspire to. And maybe Flint and Maddie's you can argue whether the way they wanted to get there, whether that was smart or noble or whatever, that's a different discussion that I don't think we really necessarily need to have. But each glimpse that we had was so beautiful. And no matter what, Silver took that away from us also. It's how can you listen to Flint talk about illuminating the dark corners?
Yes.
And
then snuff the candle out, literally. Good God.
Right, and then snuff the candle out in Philadelphia.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's so right. But at the same time, if you look at Silver doing this from a place of, again, not villainous selfishness, but of almost doing the thing. He didn't tell us his backstory, and yet he's completely motivated from the damage therein. We just don't know what that damage is, which I still say that's way worse than any of the backstories we got, because all you're going to do is fill in those blanks. And so most people, I don't know, maybe I just have a worse imagination than most people, but for me, if you say World of Horrors and you don't tell me what it is, I'm going to go to the worst thing I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so if you see him, like most of our characters, again, in this world, people are trying to make right or fix or bandage or just masking tape bandage if they can't even get a proper kit for taking care of themselves. They're all trying to deal with some trauma, something that made them an outsider. None of them are outsiders because they're like, whoa, that sounds like fun, let's go be pirates. Every single one of them is an outsider because someone made them an outsider. So why would Silver be any different? And so therefore he's also working from this place of something that's too terrible for him to even be able to tell.
Right.
No, I think it's possible to have deep sympathy for Silver and also be very angry at him. Looking at
of course,
2 points,
definitely. Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
I
2
can.
points face at once.
That's right. 2 points at once.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
I know. If ever, it's almost like we were being taught to sword fight because we were required throughout the whole 4 seasons. We were required to always look at 2 points at once for every character.
Yeah,
at least if not 5 or 10. Yeah, so that's kind of where. So I have another big question, Lauren. I really want your opinion on this. Liz brought this up. And I don't even know how tied you are to it, Liz, but I'm loving this theory. So Lauren, you probably heard us talk about it. Yeah, Liz brought up, it makes it interesting because I kind of like, I guess on a lot of levels, like throughout the season, I ended up giving Hans more narrative weight than he ended up having. Like I had decided maybe he was a twin with Flint and all this stuff. And it turned out that he was just a dude who was loyal to Silver and motivating him.
Yeah.
And so Liz came up with the idea that Hans was just kind of almost like part of Silver's consciousness.
Oh yeah, I heard you say that. I like that idea. I mean, it's not true in a literal sense, and that
no, not at all. No, but it's interesting because he is there to at each stage
how he functions in the narrative.
Well, also, what's interesting is that the way Silver behaves when he's with Hans is kind of the way the audience expected Silver to behave in season 4, to be this fearsome guy.
Oh, right.
Like, remember when Silver's tied up and he barks that speech about being just a wretch, no man from nowhere, and it was a really great and almost kind of fearsome speech. And that's kind of the guy that we had been trained to expect him to be because of him being scary in the fireside chat. So yeah, Hans was kind of allowing him to be that person and toying with our expectations a bit.
Mm-hmm. They do look at the expectations on the show.
Right. Huh. Interesting. I'm thinking about that now.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
No,
just an observation.
No. I'm not looking for one. I think it's just an interesting investigation. I do see at each of, I didn't really map out the stages for Silver, but I feel like, in the beginning, he's kind of wants to go along with this war idea and this king idea, possibly be useful in this war effort. And then he has, Hans is related to his, going, holy shit, I don't think I like this job.
Yeah.
And then, so also, I loved that with Julius. Remember, I back then I kept saying, well, he's doing a really bad job at everything. I think he's actually, once he loses Flint, he actually doesn't do a good job of anything. There is a period where he's he makes really bad choices with Julius. He misunderstands what Julius was wary about. Lauren, you brought up the fact that he decided to put himself in a throne when dealing with people who had just freed themselves from slavery. Right. So it's really interesting. I think that I think he just found himself. He tried to be part of this thing for Flint, and then he found himself without Flint to be deficient.
Well, that's why I think I said this to you privately, Daphne. I was like, I never expected to be comparing Silver to Eleanor of all people. Right. He was kind of the Eleanor of Eleanor in earlier seasons when she was kind of floundering to rule Nassau and not doing a very good job of it. Yeah. That's kind of what Silver was this season.
Mm-hmm. And then he wanted out, and Hans kind of ended up being a part of his that too. And wait, which one of you brought up to me what's Hans' motivation at that point when Silver wants to what ultimately ended up being his motivation? If Silver just left everyone and wasn't king, Hans wanted to be the right hand man of the king, right? But in the end, Hans is helping Silver essentially undo all of that. So it's just really interesting. So it's Hans almost just becomes... Is he
consciously? Does he? I
don't know. I don't know. Maybe Silver told them a story about what they were doing.
Certain. I'm certain Silver told them a story about what they were doing.
Right. Well, he definitely told everyone a story right before he betrayed Billy. So I don't know. I just think there's something interesting there. And then there's the larger question, which gets to the question of the very end of the finale, is then the larger question is, are all of the Treasure Island characters perhaps kind of like extensions of Silver?
Oh, that I couldn't tell you.
Because those are the characters who are with him in the boat when they go back to Skeleton Island, and those are the characters that that you see with Flint at the plantation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because so you start to have that's the point where you have a clear division between historical characters and Treasure Island characters. The Treasure Island characters become part of this final narrative without historical characters or specifically Black Sails characters.
I'll have to think about that, yeah.
Yeah, but say it's interesting. It's not immediately doing anything for me.
Fair enough. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to bring up, like a lot of listeners have been asking questions about stuff from Treasure Island that is not, I mean, details. Like, I really do believe, and I think our listeners probably also believe, that they did a great job of like character, as far as character motivations, bringing us to where they said, where Treasure Island would work as a fictionalized version of the characters that we just saw their reality. But there's lots of bits. So that we're just not sure how it's going to happen. So one is that Billy is now on Skeleton Island. So there were like questions of like,
so he's got to
get how would he get off, and what is the map? So I can tell you some theories I've had from listeners.
Okay, sure.
So there's a theory. Listeners, I apologize. I didn't write down any of your names. I'm just remembering off the top of my head theories because this sounds like fun. So thank you, everyone who emailed and tweeted about theories. So there was a theory that Billy, that the map isn't actually Flint's map, because we didn't see Flint draw a map. So the theory was that since Billy actually had Avery's map, that actually the map in Treasure Island is Avery's map, and it wasn't even,
that it's
even
to Skeleton Island, not to Treasure.
Well, or maybe there is, like, that maybe the treasure is actually Avery's treasure, and they just decided it was Flint's treasure in Treasure Island, but there are maps related to Avery in Black Sails, so it would work out that way, that it's actually Avery's maps.
Or that for whatever reason, Billy made a map himself and said it was Flint's map, because Billy has done things like this before. He started all this conflict in the name of Long John Silver.
Wow, but he doesn't know where the treasure is. I mean, unless he's just like spending years on Skeleton Island looking for the treasure and found it.
I was going to say, it depends on how long we think that he spends there. Because at first when I saw the finale, I was annoyed. I was like, they had one job, just make the last shot, Billy in a tavern, just change the location. He's stumbling in a different location, put a green screen, whatever. That's all you had to do.
Well, he doesn't have to necessarily wash up on that same island, does he?
Oh God, what if he makes a fake map and says it's Flint's map to trick Silver?
Yeah, like I could totally, because he's still so angry at Silver. I could totally see him doing that. He wants to fuck with Silver.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Oh, come on. Seriously, Liz?
Yeah, but no, I just think he's also horrified of Silver in the book.
Right.
It's
he's
true.
Afraid of Silver. Right.
Yeah, it almost seems like more needs to happen between now and the book, because he definitely hates Silver, but I don't see him being so horrified that he's going to have a stroke just at the thought of Silver coming after him.
Right. So
I think more things happen. Yeah, I think there's too much in between.
Although I don't know. I mean, think about it. We didn't see them. Really have a conversation since Billy essentially almost led to Maddie's death and then almost actually killed her.
This is true.
So Silver has all the motivation in the world to be really angry with Billy, like, because I'm going to assume that Maddie's going to tell him that part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anything needs to happen to make Silver more angry at Billy. But maybe they, between now and Treasure Island, like Silver had been trying to hunt him down.
Or Billy just hears what Silver did to Flint and is like, oh my God, he found a way to get rid of Flint.
Right. Which is what Billy was actually trying to engineer.
Yeah, but now that he actually did it, yeah.
Right.
Because remember when Rogers asked him, like, which one would you bet on?
Right.
Billy was kind of on Flint's side. He was like, I've seen that man get himself out of so many situations. Don't bet against him.
Although I do think to some extent Billy was just trying to motivate Rogers to go burn that ship down.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that was based on Billy's actual. I mean, again, we know that Flint Flint, I don't think I said this in any of the episodes. I like the idea of Flint being compared to a cat that needs to be drowned because he does have multiple lives, it seems. And then there's also that parallel with the walrus, like that they talked about the walrus, like all the stuff we've done to this. It's still no. Sorry, Liz, again.
No, I know. Yeah.
The one detail I keep coming back to is, I mean, Liz, I'm sure you know in Treasure Island, Silver has a parrot named Flint that he did to mock him. And I feel like I just can't see this Silver doing that, even in a few decades, making light of his relationship with Flint and just making light of the situation with Flint.
I mean, maybe that goes to what you were saying about that Silver told himself a story about what actually happened. Maybe that story evolved over time to the point where he managed to weed out any tragedy from the story he told himself of what happened.
Well, and I like the idea too that this is the real account of what led to the children's story, the tale of Treasure Island, and that really there's been so many little pieces really there was no parrot, that was just added.
That was my other thought. Yeah, the parrot fake news.
Yes, exactly.
The parrot is the equivalent of Charles Vane eating his enemies in stew.
Exactly, absolutely, yes.
Or that Silver is the Disney princess of Treasure Island, and so he must have an animal sidekick.
But also, what keeps tripping me up is that Maddie is just this random tavern wife after she's such a revolutionary.
See, I don't like that at all. Do not like.
Yeah,
yep.
I know.
Yeah.
Do not like that.
We've all expressed our displeasure. Do we need to do? We can do it a little bit more. If we all need to get a little bit more off our chest.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I do not like that Maddie shows up on that hill for any reason other than to just kick his ass and walk out. Just kick the crutch out from underneath him and be like,
Max is a wife and has a girlfriend in the local village, and she comes to him after Deck and Andai. But if we,
I want better for Max though too. I don't want her to.
Because for Max that would be safe harbor with a friend she trusts, and then she would have a girlfriend in the local village.
Yeah, but I mean, I like her. She's practically running. She is running Nassau.
Yeah, but see, that's not going to last forever.
Exactly. Woodes Rogers is actually going to get out of prison and come back, and
Woodes Rogers is going to come back and be governor again. Yeah.
So no, this is in 10 years.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Right.
No, but so that's my headcanon. However, for the people who do like Maddie and Silver together, I have seen some theories.
I loved them together.
Yes, we know. I did too. Very much.
I've seen some theories to make it a little better that Maddie is still basically kind of still the queen of the Maroons and running her operation from their tavern. What do you like? That makes it a little bit better.
Oh, that she becomes Scott.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Well, but also she's not necessarily. I mean, they're not necessarily going to the tavern tomorrow. I mean,
that's true.
She could be the queen of the Maroons for some good time before. I mean, again, we're
that's true.
They're all pretty old in
Treasure Island, yeah,
but they're much older in Treasure Island.
It's true.
There is a chunk of time.
Yeah, a couple of decades probably.
Island. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. Yeah, that's acceptable.
Just her speech in 409.
I know.
Where do you go from that speech to being a random tavern wife? How does that happen?
But I do like the idea that she's like Scott when she's running things from, especially since there's no war, but there's still Maroon Wars, right? Doesn't that actually still happen?
Yes. Yeah.
The uprisings,
but not
and
necessarily
stuff?
Right, not necessarily in their island, which we we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know geographically where their island is, and
I don't like it basically.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I played with it in my mind, because I'm feeling more sympathetic to Silver than I was a few days ago.
Sure.
I am, but does Maddie deserve that fate?
No, if nothing, if anything, he should, if she does take him back, she should take him back to the island where she rules forever as the amazing queen that she is, and he's just kind of her loser husband.
Well, that's where they
which
are.
I still don't like.
When we see them facing each other, they are on her island.
Yeah, because otherwise now it's their loser husband and loser wife who are just miserable together, and it's what?
Right. This is terrible. Fate. Why are you even together? Sex must be really good. Yeah, I don't know.
They look pretty happy.
They look pretty happy. There was a definite glow.
No, because the thing is, someone pointed out that they're kind of, I forget where I saw this, but someone was Flint is now their Thomas, and they're they're in the place of Miranda and James. So then I was So does that mean the sex is just like really sad the way Flint and
Oh
Miranda
my
were?
God.
No. Okay, no, but Flint can be their Thomas without them having sad sex. I mean, again, we did see them right after. They seemed pretty pleased with themselves.
Okay, so at least
that
have...
doesn't even begin. Like lying on him saying, if I was a no good pirate, I would follow you anywhere. Sure, that was before he betrayed her, but I'm just saying, I think it's a little bit different than whatever Miranda and James had even in the beginning, I'm going to guess.
That's true. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better, but it's just like, it's a fate that leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Again, maybe this war was nutso and, and they didn't have the resources that the American Revolution had. So maybe it was the best thing for them not to end up going to this war and all dying. But the part of it, that's just the practical thing. The part of it that bothers me is that, again, I made the comparison to Woodes Rogers. And again, I hate Woodes Rogers. I have less sympathy for Woodes Rogers than I do for Silver. But it's kind of similar. It's kind of a guy going, hey, I choose to just not listen to you and instead make decisions for you. And that's what Silver did. I mean, he undermined her and he made a decision for her instead of talking to her about it. Instead of, he was like, are you enough? Oh, forget it. I didn't ask that question. I won't even have this conversation with you. Again, pointing to insecurity. So therefore, I will now make these decisions for you. Instead of us actually having a conversation about what are actually our life goals.
Silver is officially the worst boyfriend in Black Sails world.
Yeah, I mean, on so many
really?
levels. And I said
worse than Woodes Rogers.
Well, in practical terms, no.
I think what they did is exactly the same. Just because Maddie didn't die as a result of what Silver did, she could have died. She just didn't. He got lucky.
Right.
Whereas,
no, and I said in the last episode, I think it is kind of worse because Woodes Rogers, I think, was honestly.
That's right.
He didn't understand Eleanor, whether it was willing misunderstanding or just misunderstanding.
That's a good point.
I think Woodes Rogers was doing what he was doing. But he thought that what Eleanor was doing was not in line with her personality, and that she was going back to her pirate self. That's what.
And you totally said you were like. Silver saw Maddie and deliberately decided to take away her agency, and
there was absolutely no misunderstanding about what Maddie wanted. He knew.
Yep.
And he still did it.
Oh God, I hate that she goes back to him. I just hate it.
I think Silver's a better person than Woodes Rogers. I think he disrespected his partner more so because he understood her and did it anyway. How's that?
Sure. My question is different. I think I wanted to ask, do we think that Maddie going back to Silver is a character break? Do we believe that? Do we more than not like it?
Well, because they did that, I was just wondering, well, if the writers were intending to do that, why did they even give her that amazing speech in 409?
Right.
Like, I was like, this is so weird. And so I guess if we ignore the creators' interviews where they did say she's the Treasure Island wife, we can headcanon whatever we want, like, oh, she was just seeing him off or whatever. But
that's a question I'll have to ask when we talk to John again, because I'm very curious about that. Like, what the motivation, why Maddie takes him back.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I guess.
Other than just crazy, stupid love.
Right.
Which is the thing.
Crazy, stupid love, I feel like doesn't then, if we know for sure that she is the wife in Treasure Island many years from now, crazy, stupid love could make her try to forgive him and then maybe not succeed. I don't know. I mean, I just have a question of like, why make her such a cool character if you're going to give her this really sad and undeserved fate?
You're right. No, it does a disservice to Maddie. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's really the only thing about this whole thing that I don't like. And I feel like, again, her level of heroism perhaps is not realistic in this world. Like, I do compare her to Thomas a bunch of times. I think they compare her to Thomas. So I think that, part of the tragic realism of this world or our world is saying, people who are that perfect can't really be that perfect. Whether,
so there's
died or not,
finally
or
giving her a flaw, you mean? Like, this is her flaw?
Well,
this is...
Or, right, is that perhaps her love, again, people in this season do crazy shit for love. And
that's true. I mean, that's something we keep going back to, is that people make wrong, bad decisions based on strong emotion.
Right. So this could be her version of that.
I would have liked to see then something in their fight. I would have liked, because she is fierce in that fight.
Right. I know. And
But
I am so on her side.
I know.
And she,
Me
again,
too.
she
She's
spent
right.
the whole season saying that everything's more important than Silver. But maybe when she lost the opportunity for the war.
But if there was something like, if he, tried
it's just
to.
not a fate I want for her.
No, I know. But that's what I'm saying.
just
Like maybe if we saw in that fight that we had, if we saw more of her love for him in that fight, more of her wrestling with herself rather than just telling him to GTFO, basically.
Well, no, I think there is. There's a moment where when he says that you'll be alive, be happy that you're alive to think
Yeah,
it.
but think about that scene. If she just charges at him and punches the shit out of his chest, saying, how could you make this decision for me when I trusted you, etc. And he's holding her arms and she's
like the way
collapsing
Eleanor
into him.
in 309?
Yes. Like if we got that with them, then I understand her going back a little more, because she's just like, can't get away from this guy
instead of just being
Eleanor
done with him.
thing. And then there's kind of a which is good for Black Sails, but
But their relationship was always calmer than Vane and Eleanor's, so I feel like that wouldn't have really made sense.
Well, and healthier and more adult in a lot of ways.
But no,
so
like it's just
that exact scenario, but just like something where I see more that, I don't know.
It did leave me wondering why the writers did what they did.
Right. It's like how Lauren wanted to see more evidence of them falling in love.
Sure.
We needed more evidence of her having a process that brought her to that hilltop.
Yes.
We needed something to give us some bridge between her saying get out and her meeting him on the top of that hill.
Yeah.
For me, I do like the way the show makes us fill in facts, but for me, it doesn't work in the relationships. Like, I didn't have enough evidence of them falling in love, and honestly, like I said, I didn't have enough evidence of Eleanor and Rogers falling in love, which is why I do maintain
them,
that
I didn't have enough evidence for Max and Anne ever myself.
See, I'm good at all of them.
I know, which is crazy because I know that you guys do. So maybe it's just.
I mean, no, that does circle back to my point that I do think the show is a lot better at relationships that are either long running or like have been revealed in the past than it is at starting new relationships that start on the timeline of the show. And at those relationships, I'm just saying it is better at the
yeah, because you do have to fill in gaps because there's so much story to tell. I mean, they had to pick and choose
because these characters are all so hard. For me, for both Silver and Eleanor, I was very taken aback that both of them were deeply in love because to me it didn't seem like it was in their nature to be deeply in love.
Oh, see, now I've totally flipped on Silver. I think that Silver,
it's absolutely in his nature now, like important. Yeah,
well,
I see what you're saying.
And I don't know if I've said this. I think I've said this to both of you outside of podcast land, but I think that, or no, maybe I did. I think I did say it in the last episode in the season finale. I think that if you buy Silver being a damaged lost boy and having closed the world out because he was, afraid or whatever, but he needed to be a loner to protect himself, I do think it makes sense. The same way that Billy went straight from like quite good to like full on bad because he only could live in this like strong dichotomy without gray spaces. I see Silver's reactions to people as similar. That he so decidedly shut them out because of whatever horrors were in his story, that once he let them in, like the floodgates were open and he didn't know how to not be completely connected to them and dependent on them. Because he just had never learned over time the way most of us do to kind of have gradations of connection with people. He went from absolutely nothing to like, I will lose my leg for you. I will, I will do all this crazy shit for you. So that works for me. And Maddie, again, this is extra textual. I mean, I really liked that John brought up that she might be a whole lot younger than we even like. It's just not clear how young she is.
Sure.
So for her, this is first. Well, for both of them, it's first love.
Sure.
But for him, it really works for me because I think he saw in her. And I loved our listeners who gave us the Enneagram thing, like that the idea that Flint and Maddie are both the same, possibly this. I think totally works for me. So I'm not gonna say possibly. I agree that they are the same Enneagram. And then when Silver's like, that's his type, I guess that's the person he wants to cleave himself to. And in Maddie, he saw the healthier version of that.
Yeah.
But I think that it works for me now. The idea that Silver like is just full on. He's just like, I am, once I decide to go down the path of having a relationship, I'm just like, not good at moderating myself.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that totally works for me.
No, it works for me. It does. It does for me.
It does now, but as I was watching the season unfold, it just was frustrating,
Right.
and I felt like he was acting out of character. But yeah, now after having watched 409, it does work.
Yeah, I mean, in my rewatch now, like totally, and now
I'm so
really
looking forward to
watching the whole thing.
I know.
I need to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of like struggling with people's motives when it's out of love, I thought it was interesting that I've seen a lot of people struggling with Jack's motives in 403 in raising the white flag, and they're like, "What?
Oh,
why
that
did
didn't
he do
make me
that?
struggle at all.
His ship was bigger. He had a bigger crew. Why did he do? Yeah, I did not struggle with that because his relationship with Anne, is so strong and so there because it's been present from moment one of the first episode.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's worked so well.
Yeah. I never struggled with that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Right,
so I actually thought it was interesting that some people were. So I was like, oh, do some people not see Jack and Anne how I see Jack and Anne? And I guess they don't, which is interesting.
Why did they, since they had the bigger ship though, why didn't they just sink Rogers to begin with? Why didn't they just...
I know. Well, yeah, I was like, why did they make that plan in the first place? Yes, that was a bad plan.
Right. I think, right. The question is, why did they board the ship in the first place?
Yes.
I think that they boarded it because they wanted to capture
because it was such a personal vendetta.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think they needed to capture him. So and not for the war effort as well. Like, if they just come back and say Rogers is dead.
Sure, of course.
It does not have the same impact. Again, and remember, this has been a big part of this season is like people wanting to do a demonstration of vengeance and it always backfiring on them. This is something that just every single time somebody wanted to do, and I feel like this was in response to Eleanor. It was like Max was the one person who kept saying, let's not do that thing. Let's not do that thing. Let's not do that thing. And, I think everyone has to pretty much admit that, Max actually is now the smartest person in the room. I think the text has now told us that Max is that the thing I always said, like, listen to Max, is actually true because Max is the one Max is the person who generated happy endings for some of our characters, at least temporarily.
It's a dirty joke there,
Do you all think Jack and Anne and Mary will do you think they will die 5 minutes after the credits, or do you think their career will last a while?
Right.
I mean, it has to last a while.
Was that in your interview with the creators?
Yeah, because I was like, what would season 5 even have been? I was somewhat surprised that you hadn't always planned for it to be the last, because 410 is so final. You can't have a season without Flint.
Right.
And they're we tried with the idea of that, but that would have been a spinoff, and a spinoff is not the show.
Yeah.
Right. It's a different show.
Yeah, and I would watch the hell out of that show. But...
Oh yeah, me too. Totally.
Yes, I would.
I would watch the adventures of Jack and
Mary and Anne.
Mary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What would it be called?
I was just wondering that. Then it's just Man X, right? No, we lose the X part.
Right.
What is this? Mary Ann and Jack.
Use your magic, Liz.
I know. I kind of like Jack Moran, actually.
Jack Moran?
Yeah, Jack Moran. I kind of like that, actually.
Well, and so since we didn't get to see their fates, do you see Jack and Anne dying together, or do you see her ditching him and then him dying alone?
No, I still see them dying together. I think, I know that's not history, but these characters, this Jack and this Anne, I cannot see it. I cannot see them being separated. But yeah, do they get captured immediately? Well, that's certainly the storyline that would be most Jack. But I'd like to think not. I think that we got that last wonderful bit of Jack-style irony with the banner. I mean, perfectly. And I love what the creator said about that the irony of it also, not only of him, aspiring so high and then being disappointed, but then the double irony of that actually being the thing.
Wait, because they were like, when you taste immortality and you find it, but how the hell do you know that is it?
Right. Of course.
It's so perfect. And it's fine.
Oh my God. It's the best thing. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about Jack throughout, or Jack in the finale, what should we, I mean, I could talk about Jack all day, clearly. But I do want to talk about his talking about story in such an obvious way. Like, what do we think about that? I mean, I love it. So I guess that's what I think.
Yeah.
About. What do you think about its place in the narrative?
It's interesting that Jack is the character who's been given the narrative reins, because he is not, I wouldn't say he's as unreliable a narrator as Silver, but he's certainly not a reliable narrator because he has such a sense of grandiosity.
Yes. Yeah, the first time I heard the speech, I didn't like it. Because on that first watch, I didn't quite understand all of the ambiguity yet.
Right.
Like, I took it at face value right at first, before I had to start kind of thinking about it, and I started talking about it, and I realized that there was still a lot there to unpack.
Right.
So on the second watch, it's my favorite part. Did we talk about favorite parts? I don't know if we did.
We did not do favorite parts. We went, that's true. We
from the finale,
right. and then we did our pirate names totally drunk with Craig and Lisa. So we didn't do our normal.
Yes, we did. Well, and it's not true actually, because my favorite part was the Here Be Dragon speech. So. But
that's everyone's favorite part.
I think that's
everyone's favorite. It's we already said best moment in television, so obviously.
My second favorite part.
But I did love it.
It's fine. That's my other favorite part.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
But that's like the end cap of that whole speech to me.
Yes.
Like, to me, it's kind of it's just a lovely little inside artist joke. Like you talk about all this thing like because in my head I hear like the creators putting the show out there and being like, I wanted it to do this, I wanted it to transcend, I wanted it to whatever, it's fine.
No, I love that. I mean, I totally
know
feel
that
like
they're prouder than that,
themselves.
but I also know they're like, I could have done this, I could have made this better. It's not exactly, it's not what it's not, if I had it to do again, but.
Okay, so we
agree
that Jack's just speaking for the creators there, because I mean, in addition to the whole, like, it's true or it's not true, and what matters ultimately is the story that we end up choosing. But also the I go on, and then Mary Reed saying, Mark Reed, whatever, Mary Reed saying, no, it's okay. I've been drawn in. Like I was just like, oh, this is so adorable. Like it was pretty cute. They're just like, hi, we're Jack and you're Mary, and we're just going to have a little joke.
Welcome to our show.
We're just going to laugh about ourselves a bit right at the end here.
Yeah.
So does it feel like that to you?
All right, so I guess excluding the two obvious favorite parts, my favorite part is Jack and Silver having a moment of acknowledging each other's craftiness.
Finally.
Yeah, that was pretty cute.
I've been waiting 4 seasons for that.
I know. I mean, we had to wait 3 seasons for them even really to be in the same room. Like, sure, Jack did stab Silver through a wall, but that doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah. They were in a room, they were at a fire, but we had to we had to wait 3 seasons for them to actually be standing next to each other.
Right.
And then the whole 4th season for them to actually have a conversation, just the two of them.
Yeah. While giving each other sly sideways glances.
Glorious.
So good.
It was pretty great. It was pretty fantastic.
No, that was fantastic. That's the thing. I mean, this episode, it's funny. This episode, I feel like possibly as much as any episode in all of Black Sails takes you on the full emotional range that Black Sails does, which is pretty much like every human emotion at once.
Every. Yep.
It's true, although it didn't devastate me as much as I expected. I feel like it devastates you more the more you think about it.
Exactly.
I remember on my first watch being like, this is shockingly happy. Wow.
Yeah, that was my first watch too. I was
crying a lot.
Yeah. Well, again, see the beginning of this very podcast episode of what we thought they were going to do to us this season.
That is true.
I thought Jack was going to die, so I was ready for it to be like 309 for me, to be like just crying.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And like I cried a little bit, but it wasn't that kind of tears, it was.
Yeah, I don't think I cried watching it. I cried talking about it.
Yes, you did.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the second time I watched it, I was definitely very close to tears. If I was a crying type, I would be crying, but
that's my job.
I tear up during the Here Be Dragon speech and during Flint and Thomas's hug.
Yeah.
I'm not like sobbing.
Sure. Right. Right.
No, that's true. I'm not sobbing either. I'm moved. I get teary from being moved.
I'm deeply moved.
But it's not that kind of crying that I thought
It's not you just killed my favorite guy.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. And again,
deep grief.
Right. My first watch was completely just overshadowed by my utter terror at having to watch Jack die.
No, me too. And that's why I was so delighted by the end. I was like, not only is he not dead, but he gets his flag.
Right.
Yeah.
Although he does, I mean, it's interesting.
Yep.
No, and
fun.
I just re-listened to the Toby episode of Fathoms Deep, and he did talk. I kind of loved it. Like, so, you know, I was a little concerned about him in the tavern when he's talking to Mary, because there is a bit, and I think I said this in the podcast, like there's a tiny bit of the like drunken has-been in his attitude there.
Yes.
Oh, well, it's bittersweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And the golden age of piracy is over.
The age of piracy is over. Right. He's now lost even the old sailor dude who was connected to Avery, and he's lost Teach. Like he's lost, he will never stand amongst giants. I mean, unless he finally recognizes that Anne was actually the giant all along. I hope he's recognizing that now.
I think part of him does know that, but he just doesn't think of her in that way because she's
him.
He almost thinks of her as an extension of himself.
Exactly. But yeah, so the giants are all gone. I mean, that's also like he's kind of the giant now in some ways.
Oh, he is, and he's a lot. And now it's a lonely because he's the only one.
But it's that same thing of Black Sails giving you the thing you want, and then you realize that it's not quite the thing you want. Just like the flag.
Yeah,
Jack's now like he is the rock star. He's the pirate rock star now of all of them.
Yep, he sure is
standing there by himself.
Such a small kingdom, or whatever. Such a small,
the lonely band.
I don't know. Yeah. Can't finish the metaphor very well, but yes,
the stage is really empty. I don't know.
Me or something like that. I don't know. Something like that. Oh God.
So my last question about Jack is: do we see them promoting possibly like Jack being the person who is like writing either the history of pirates that we see Miss Hudson reading to her children, or even Treasure Island? Like, do we think that maybe they're promoting him as
I don't
the
think so.
Person who might be the storyteller in general, like in the larger sense?
Oh no, I was gonna say I would love to think that, but I don't think that's what the writers are actively promoting. I think you could make an argument for it, but I don't think that's what they're doing.
Oh, and I'm not asking.
Well, and I think it's because
of what the creators are doing that. I'm asking if that's a way we could look at the end.
For me, it doesn't work because, like Lauren said, because of the way Jack sees things, like his character would have been different if he was telling the story.
We wouldn't have seen him get pissed on.
Right. No,
yes,
totally true.
Exactly.
They pissed on me. That would not be in his story.
I'm not.
This would not be the
I'm not
version
asking if he wrote Black Sails. I'm asking if he ended up writing one of the pirate histories that actually is historically a pirate history, like either.
I would love that.
Either the history of pirates, which is an actual book, like the book that Mrs. Hudson was reading to her children, is an actual book from the 1700s.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's sliding into drunken has-been too quickly.
That's probably true.
I think so too. Yeah, he's not self-aware enough to have written it.
Yep.
Right.
Do you think he and Silver still exchange letters? Like every maybe write like the kind of friend you like write on each other's birthdays and like have a discussion you can't have with anyone else in your life.
Well, that doesn't fit with your whole thing about Silver re-narrativizing his experience, because now Jack is completely part of his whatever he did. But
it's true. I doubt they stay in touch.
But it delights me, the idea of it.
Yes.
All right. I think we have done an amazing job of covering this. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
And we do expect you to sit at a seat at our round table whenever we end up doing
Absolutely.
that. So
let me know. Yeah, give me a call.
Please come to the chaos of people talking about Black Sails that is...
I was going to say, it's going to be an editing nightmare.
Pretty much.
Fascinating.
Or I will just choose not really to edit it, and everyone will just hear the full-on chaos.
And people will just, it'll be like you were in the room.
Exactly. So it's going to be us three and Alistair and Andrew. Woohoo! We're just all going to have, we're just going to have a lot of theories running around.
Yep.
Looking forward to
it. Lots of insight.
So listeners, we don't know when that's going to happen, but basically in your future, you have interviews and also
More discussions.
More discussions.
Yeah.
We're going to do thematic discussions or character discussions. We haven't quite sussed out exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to do some coverage of the 4 seasons together. And and hopefully Lauren will join us for some of that as well. Next week, we are taking the week off. We will not have a podcast dropping the next week, but we will be back. And we're going to have good stuff for you in the near future and for a little bit. Because we're all
for always.
We're all missing Black Sails. Okay, so Lauren, do you want to sign off before we give one pirate name?
Leslie Skipa needs a pirate name. Yes, and
Lauren, do you want to give her a pirate name?
Oh God, so much
never mind.
pressure.
I take it back. You don't have to.
Yeah, no, if you want to, she's super cool. She's an opera singer and a hardcore Doctor Who fan. She has a formidable collection of corsets.
Well, if she's an opera singer, what if her name is the instrument that they use for the opening credits of Black Sails, which is the
hurdy-gurdy?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're doing it. Yes.
There you go, Leslie. Lauren just gave you your pirate name, which is hurdy-gurdy?
Hurdy-gurdy. I love it. Oh my God, that's super great. Hurdy-gurdy. Yep. I just realized that Bear McCreary totally has a pirate name.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
This is his name.
Absolute pirate name.
Also, do you know what he looks like? A pirate.
Looks like a pirate.
He sure does.
He looks like a pirate more than the actors do in real life.
Yes.
I want to have Bear McCreary on the podcast.
Y'all harass Bear McCreary. Make him talk to us.
Yes, I would like to talk to Bear McCreary. But whatever episode, we're not sure which yet, whichever episode comes after this season wrap will be the one where we give pirate names for the final thesis game.
Perfect.
All right. Now, Lauren, thank you. You're the best.
You are the best.
Thanks again for having me. It's been so fun to go on this ride with you for this season.
Been so much fun. So much fun. All right, ladies. Cheers. Let's raise a glass.
Cheers.
Black Sails.
Cheers.
My goodness.
Yeah. Raise a glass. Raise the black.
To
Okay.
the best show.
To the best show on television.
Thank you, everyone who made it. We love all of you.
Yes.
Whether you're listening to us or not, we adore you.
Mm-hmm. Big fans, obviously.
All right.
So thanks, everyone, for joining us. And until next time from Common Room Radio, I'm Elizabeth Stevens.
I'm Daphne Olive.
And I'm Lauren Sarner.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Fathoms Deep is a Common Room Radio production. For more information and access to other programs, please visit us at commonroomradio.com. To show your support, pledges of as little as $1 a month can be made to patreon.com/commonroomradio. Join the conversation by using the hashtag Fathoms Deep and follow us on Twitter at Black Salescast. We ask that you keep your tweets respectful and positive, and please avoid spoilers. If you have more to say, we want to hear it in all its spoiler glory. Email us at podcast@commonroomradio.com with Fathoms Deep in the subject line. Thanks for listening.